You're listening to the archive programs from St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts. During my vacation, I'll be back at the end of the month. You know, a while ago, I interviewed Doug Ernst, who did a comic book series called Soul Finder, and now we're in the midst of a 3-part interview with Philip Koslovski, who is a whole company focused on Catholic comic books. And the focus I had that I read was Finian and the Seven Mountains. And this seems to be a new experience, especially for me, as I discussed this a little bit with Philip, being an older Catholic. I mean, I come from a time long before there was anything called Riverside, any TV show called Riverside, where I read these humorous comics called the Archie comics, which are rather different than what you can see on Riverside, which I don't get to watch that much TV anyway, but they're rather different than what you can see on Riverside. And so coming from that history of comic book reading, which I was actually, as I mentioned, I was into Classic Illustrated, and see a lot of the comic books that are starting to come out in sharing our Catholic faith. And I'm sure our evangelical brothers and sisters have a lot of evangelical comic books. And they're there sharing our faith, a whole new way of understanding and communicating our faith. So it's fascinating to look at it. I'm going to repeat a little bit of the end of the interview yesterday to put everything in context, where Philip is sharing his story of his passion for communicating the Catholic faith. So we'll join right into his answer on that question.
I definitely, for me, too, part of it is, as I've kind of grown in my Catholic faith, I've always come back to just this concept of that we're all in this story, the story of salvation, and that we have a part to play, and so I do believe that stories play an important part, in our own lives and in the lives of our children, and just kind of reminding all of us of that fact that, that we, at times it might feel like our lives don't really have a purpose or it doesn't impact the world. But, in reality, if we can take a step back and kind of see that everything we do actually does have a purpose, it does impact, that God has a specific purpose in mind for us, that He, wants us to be kind of an actor in the drama of salvation. I think it really enriches us, enriches our spiritual life if we can recognize that fact. And so, that's kind of why one of the reasons why I've turned to creating stories is just to really highlight that reality and to inspire people of every generation with this concept that we're on this journey of life, and we have our part to play.
One of the things I'm looking at in light of this is just what you're saying and communicating that to the youth of today, to a whole different audience, and maybe a different audience clearly a different audience than what I grew up with. If there was one message you wanted to communicate to, we'll say, anyone who's listening here who might be, we'll say your age, you're roughly in your early 30s, if I'm not wrong, if I did my math right. What would that message be?
Well, one thing that I like to stress, kind of both in my spiritual writing, but also in the stories as well, is that, we really are in a battle. That, there is a battle that's going on that we can't see, but that it is part of our daily life. The spiritual battle of, angels, demons, that, really, and that we can't kind of stay on the sidelines, and that we really need to engage in spiritual combat on a daily basis, and in order to, to not get bowled over, by the enemy who can take us unaware, but really to give our yes to God, and by doing so we can kind of defeat those spiritual enemies, and be on kind of God's army.
Mm-hmm. Let me kind of building on it. There's a helicopter going overhead. Kind of building on that. That's one of the interesting things that we're dealing with in our world today, because a lot of people don't understand that. I'm actually surrounded by Harvard University and Boston University, so I'm in a very university-oriented area, which is a good thing, but then you're also dealing with the people who say, well, that whole idea of religion is past now, we have science now. So communicating that whole idea that, no, there really is such a thing as a spiritual battle. Do you ever find yourself in that conflict between those who say, no, those days are over with, religion is no longer needed, we have science now?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely just a prevailing argument in today's world, and it's something that's that's difficult to combat against, but really, there's so much in this world that is just so mysterious and kind of beyond science that. These miraculous happenings and just, the life of Jesus, that, we all have within us kind of this sense that there's something more to this world than we can see. And I think if people really thought about it, for more than a few seconds, and just kind of recognized, this reality that, there's more, what we can see is only part of God's creation, and that there's even greater things that we can't see. And in the end, it takes a lot of faith to do that. It also takes a lot of humility as well, just recognizing that I don't know everything, and I also can't see everything that exists. And to be able to say that and to accept the fact, it really takes a big, trust in God, a leap of faith to know that we're, there's something more than this world.
Well, I want to thank you for you taking your time for us to talk about this. It was a wonderful experience, and I want to let people know you are at philipkoslovski.com, and there's one L in Philip, I always have to remember. It's Philip Koslovski, Philip, KOSLOSKI.com, and you'll find all kinds of wonderful things over there. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me, and obviously taking the time for putting together what you've done. I've really enjoyed the Finian and the Seven Mountains. I'm going to look over some of the others, and I can't thank you enough.
Thank you so much, Father.
And have a blessed day. And that was Philip Koslovski, Kosloski. So Philip, one L in Philip, philipkoslovski.com, all one word. And you can check out his work, including what he offers for comic books. He has a whole several series, and they all come from his own company, Voyage Comic Books. So anyway, he has that, and they're great Catholic stories. And then also he has his own Catholic writing. in his 30s. He has a lot to share, and it's always encouraging for those of us who grew up in the faith, maybe left the faith and came back. We won't mention anyone's name, including this person. But anyway, to see someone who really has a passion for bringing the faith, who is a young adult, and that means so much to so many people. And I always like to communicate that to the youth who are going to church. You don't know how much that means to the people when you are here and showing that you understand this Catholic faith and you believe in it. So this is a very encouraging time that I spent with Philip Koslovski. I encourage you to check out his website. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick break, and then I will be right back after this. You're listening to the voice of St. Anthony Parish from Allston, Massachusetts, right here on WROL 950 AM 100.3 FM, and you can also hear us at CatholicAudiomedia.com. Have you ever wanted to read the Bible but didn't know which readings to check out? Well, how about looking at the church's daily readings? You can find them at the website of the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. Just go to bible.usccb.org and click on the date that pops up on that page. There are other options on that page as well. That is bible.usccb.org, and click on the date and you will see the daily readings for your own prayer and study of the Bible. This is a prayerful tip from St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts. And don't forget our website, CatholicAudiomedia.com, CatholicAudiomedia.com. You can check out our website. You can check out the archives of the program. You can check out our Substack newsletter. You can look at the blog. You can tune into all different things over there. You can send us feedback. You can send us prayer requests, whatever you want to do. And you know what we also have over there is we have a page for those things that are mentioned on the program. So we have a whole page for there. Just click on the button that's on the left-hand side of the front page, and you'll see it. I have it in a kind of a honeycomb situation, so you can check that out, and you'll see just this whole list of people that we have had on the program. So check that out, and don't forget we are at CatholicAudiomedia.com. But if you want to hear the archives of all these interviews, there's 15 of them. Catholic Audio Media Interview, no S, interview.podbean.com. Catholic Audio Media Interview.podbean.com. So check that out. In the meantime, I am on vacation. I'll be back in 2 more weeks. So enjoy what we have for the next 3 weeks of our archives from our interview programs. Tune us in Monday for the next of our interview programs. You know, we have a website for our programs that will connect you to the parish, the blog, and to share your prayer requests with us. If you've been touched by our program, you can even show your support through your donation. We are at CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's all one word, CatholicAudiomedia.com. It is updated regularly with blog posts and podcasts of the program. So stay connected with us and tell us how this show has touched your heart. CatholicAudiomedia.com. In Cristo vivimos.